Fresh and Untitled. I'm gonna make a sign really quick. One that I can just flash. He's gonna hate me. That's okay.
That's okay. No, he won't.
He would never hate me. Yeah, why don't you sign off really quick and then I'll call you and add you to a group call.
Right, okie dokie.
Okay.
What are you up to?
You know this is recorded. Well, of course I did. This is why I've moderated my fucking swearing. Oh shit, you're going to do an outtake section, aren't you? Yeah, thank you for that.
I saw you put your lip at that.
Remind me to show you the Bill Bailey clip where he goes on and on ranting about law. You know.
Emma, I told you. Didn't I tell you?
Oh dear, he looks like he's been kicked in the nuts.
Yep. LOL does it to him every time. Just, you want to tick him off? Your screen is angry on your behalf.
Yeah, it's been really weird.
It's like freaking out, man.
Dude.
Hang on. I don't mind Ruffle, roll on the floor laughing, or LMFAO, but something about LOL, it just makes me want to kill.
Again, I need to ask you, like, you're aware this is being recorded, right?
No, I don't care. Civilization is dead.
Did I forget to mention he's a really happy person?
Yeah, I've got the whole grump vibe going on over here. So,
Emma,
what do you
question?
get your ideas from?
Okay.
Oh, where do the ideas come from? Behave! Fucking computer. In the old days, if ever I was stuck for a story idea, I would just look at an album, music album, and I would actually get inspiration from song lyrics or song titles. And a lot of the earlier stuff I wrote were directly inspired by songs, and I would actually use the song titles as the story title, because I've worked out that although lyrics are subject to copyright, song titles themselves, you can use those. It's free usage. It's no problem on that. It's very rare now that I run out of ideas, because what has always inspired me with short stories is when anthology submission calls come out. And if they're for general horror anthology, send us your best thing, blah, 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 and I think, I don't know, well, what's in the trunk folder? Let's see something that I've written that's not been accepted. But when it's a themed anthology, that is something that really gets the fires going. And these really are golden, because if you're in a blank spot and you haven't written anything for a while, the ideas aren't coming, a certain anthology call comes out with a unique anthology idea, and I think, wow. It's happened 5 years ago with Aaron French's Monk Punk. And cause you remember that, Suzanne, when the idea came out, and I thought, what? Didn't have any idea what this was about, and then he explained it. And straight away that got me thinking. I thought, okay, write a story about monks, and then it led on to something else. The only trouble with that is, with a lot of themed anthologies that come up, is you will write a story that is specific to that anthology. So if it gets rejected, you think, I'm left with a story I can't place anywhere. But having said that, sometimes those stories do find a home. But even if they don't, even if they're sitting on a hard drive and they'll never be used again, it's been great because it has forced you to write something you wouldn't even considered before. And sometimes it will take you completely different directions. It will improve your craftsmanship. Now the classic case is Emma's charity anthology, because I'd never written a child's story before, and I thought I can't do this. So what happens is then you think, okay, this is your challenge. Write something that you've never written before.
Adrian, I was just going to ask a quick question because I asked this of everybody on the show. Do you believe that we should write every day to consider ourselves a writer?
No, that is complete and utter bollocks.
Thank you.
No, it's seriously, I can understand why that advice came out, and it's a good habit to get into. But I know so many people tied themselves up in knots, thinking, right, I've got to write X amount of words per day. I've done a full 8 hours, 9, 10 hours at work. I've come home, the baby's ill again. My missus needs picking up for this, that, and the other. I've got to run around here. Right, I've got about 2 hours, and then I might be able to get a few hours sleep, then go to work. However, no, I am a writer, so therefore I must stay up all night. I must get those 1,000 words done, otherwise I'm not a writer. Because a how to write a book told me this, and that sort of advice is so self-destructive and defeating, because what you're writing is probably going to be complete bullshit. It's not going to be, if you're not in the frame of mind to write, if you're not able to write, forcing yourself to write isn't going to help. What does help is if you're in the middle of a project and if you have a deadline, then yes, having this make sure you set aside time to write is golden, because as you progress, you will come across more and more deadlines. And these things are great, without a doubt, because the way I tend to write now, as you guys know, a few years back, I had what in the old days was called a nervous breakdown. These days they call it depressive illness. Most of that was work-related. But I was also pushing myself too far. And pushing myself at work, and then pushing myself with the writing, because I'd set myself deadlines. I thought, okay, well, this novel doesn't have to be in by a certain amount of time. It doesn't need to be finished at a certain period, because no agent or publisher is in scopes yet to have a look at it. But I thought, no, set yourself a deadline. Right, you've got 8 months to get this done. And I wouldn't say that the process of writing and the stress that went with it caused my breakdown or even contributed to it. No way. If anything, it actually kept me sane. But what it did do was it knocked back my recovery. Because no matter how much you enjoy it, no matter how good you are at it, writing is stressful. Or if not stressful, it is draining, because you're putting so much into it. And even if it's positive energy you're putting in, it does drain you, and you don't realise how much it is. That's why it took me a long time to recover from the breakdown. And when I got back on track, I found that about 3 months after that, then I got involved with Dark Continents, and then a new chapter in my writing career began, and being a publisher and an editor as well. It's amazing. That didn't top me over the edge, but again, I was pushing myself, and it didn't affect me as such, but I was definitely running on empty. My method of writing is something that the professionals would shake their heads in despair at. They said, that is not the way to do it, oh no. What it is, when I'm writing something, I will write when I can. and I won't sit down and think, okay, I've got 3 hours, I'm going to get 1,500 words done tonight. I will just sit in front of the laptop computer, and I will just write until whatever I feel has come out. Sometimes I've written about 7,000 words in one night, and then I look and I'm thinking,
Wow.
fucking daylight. Thank God I was up all night, because I forgot to set the alarm clock and I would have been late for work otherwise. That's not healthy, I know.
No.
But sometimes that has actually been better for the story, because when you're in that flow, you just want to carry on with it and keep going.
Yeah.
So even now, I do have these stages where I've pulled all-nighters. It's a reminder of my old college days, getting the essays in before the deadlines, and oh my God, leave it to the last minute. Oh, up all night, eating coffee. So the upshot now is, when I have finished a project, I allow myself time. So last year, I was editing an anthology of novellas, the After the War collection, and each novella was anywhere between 10,000 to 25,000 words long. And in the meantime, I was writing my own contribution. So again, I was on it every night, every weekend, not feeling stressed, but deep down knowing it was going to knock me sideways when I finished. So when I did finish it, I'm thinking, right, okay, now rest, relax. And I didn't even pick up or open a Word document for 3 months. So I finished it all in the end of October, November, December, January. I said, I'm not doing anything. And I actually feel better for that. You are frowned upon if you take regular time off from writing. And the worst thing any writer can do is actually fall into the trap of thinking, I should be writing, I should be writing. No. What I would say is, to anyone who is agonized by this question, should I write every day? My advice would be, try and get in a habit of writing every day. Certainly set yourself time to engage with your story. Even if you're not going to write anything, yes, look over what you've written, keeping the story fresh in your mind. But don't feel pressurized to write an arbitrary amount of words per day just to say, yes, I've fulfilled my quota, I'm a writer. Because even if the writing process is going well, what you've written that one day, which may look absolutely wonderful on the screen, the next day, when you incorporate it into the whole story and look over it and you're thinking, actually, load of this is shit. And if you've done without a night's sleep or abandoned your family commitments for that day, what's the point? It's a personal thing. And every writer, they can only work out themselves what they can do, what they're capable of, and when it's worth pushing yourself and when it's not. But the overriding thing I will say is never ever neglect your health. Yes, I know I still do it when I would go a couple of days without sleep. I do not recommend that. It's just the way that works for me. And believe me, I do suffer for the next day. But
because it's kind of like you do something like that, you stay up and you write, and then for 4 days you bollocks and you write nothing, and you feel like shit because you're like, oh, I done so good the other day and I thought I was going to finish this story or this novel. Then you can't do anything with it because you're so wrecked after it,
Absolutely.
I mean, last Sunday I started writing on the story for Seed for Cabbage, and it was dripping from my fingertips. It was fucking brilliant. I was like, oh, I could stay up and I could write all night on this. But I had to be up at 3 o'clock the next morning, 3 a.m., And I was thinking, fucking typical, I sit down, I'm thinking, right, I might knock out like a couple of 100 words just because I've nothing to do for the next hour before I have to go to bed at 8 o'clock at night, And I could have stayed up all night. And I said, no, go to bed because you're going to be wrecked tomorrow, yada, yada, yada. So I came home then on Tuesday or Wednesday night and I had like 8 solid hours ahead of me. I was like, right, I'm going to finish the story now like I wanted to do on Sunday. 200 words, 145 words. I was sitting there going, oh, look, the wall. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't get a fucking thing out. It's like, oh, it's so frustrating. But if it's not working, it's not fucking working. And you can make yourself sit there for the 8 hours and get another 145 words out. You know, you're just going to come back someday when you're feeling really into it and edit it and scrub out those 145 fucking words, you know. So what's the fucking point? Go do something that inspires you or something instead, you know.
In terms of word counts, one thing I've found very useful, and this is something that the horror writer Guyan Smith used to do, and he still does to this day. He would never do a daily word limit. He would set himself a weekly target. 8,000 words divided by 7 days equals this amount. So some evenings, some days, because he was one of these sneaky buggers who would write at work as well, fair play, he would work out he'd done about 3,000 words in one day. So that had actually put him ahead. So I thought, well, if I wanted to, I could take tomorrow off. He said, well, no, what I'll do, I'll carry on, just carry on writing as much as I can, as much as I'm able to, because this idea of he was building up his writing credit. So the idea was, if a family emergency came up, or if he had to do some extra overtime at the bank and he wasn't able to write, it didn't matter, because he'd been in credit with his word limit, he would still meet that 8,000 to 10,000 word weekly limit. And I also think that's a much healthier way of doing it. So instead of worrying about writing every day, meeting a certain daily target, set yourself a weekly target. I'm going to do 10,000 words this week. And when you're sitting in front of the keyboard, you think, just write what comes out. Then at the end of it, when the eyes are going, or dawn is breaking through the windows, and you realise you've got to be in work in half hour. Oh, I've done 3,000 words. Or shit, it's only 500 words. Never mind, tomorrow's another day.
Like you, Adrian, I've not had a career, do you know what I mean? So it's like always been like a lot of shitty little jobs, and recently, or since I moved to Norway, it's all been seasonal work, you know, so it's been like, I've been like fucking hell for leather during the season and then nothing for 4 months. So then obviously I write a lot more in the 4 months, and I do fuck all when the season is on, because you're working 12-hour days, like, and you get like 6 hours sleep or something like that. And now when I'm getting up at 3 a.m. in the morning, it's like my writing time is nighttime. And I have to be in bed before most babies go to bed at this stage. You know what I mean? So, which is ridiculous. But yeah, so I go through phases in an entire year where it's like I might do 3 months of her every night or every week. I'll decide I'm going to write, but before I can start writing, I have to like just read over what I've already written. To catch up with where I am, and and then by the time I'm done, that's time to go to bed. So then I'll not have time to do anything for another 2 weeks, and then I'll say, right, I'll write tonight, but I have to read over what I've done already just to catch up with where I was, So I get a lot of editing done, but shit all writing,
But that's the other thing as well. A lot of writers, they do have a certain time and a place for writing, and personally, I think this is something you've obviously found as well, because your work and your shift patterns have been very sporadic. You've had to be able to fit writing time around that. So, say you might think, well, I can only really write comfortably in the evening, or I can only comfortably write in the morning, blah blah. Yeah, you might produce your best work on that, but it's always a good habit to sort of try and write in times where you wouldn't normally do it, because you will surprise yourself.
It is that mental, where you're telling yourself I'm a night writer. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's like I was driving out of town today, and if I had a pen and a notepad with me, I'd have crashed the car again. Do you know what I mean? Because I'd have just started writing the novels, and as it turned out, I had to keep like a piece of description in my head the whole way home. I was like, keep repeating it. So I got home and I could write it down, But so that was like in the middle of the day, which means if I'd have probably been in front of the computer, I could have written shit afloat there. But it's that in my head, like I'm a night person and I'm a night writer, and that's it. Do you know what I mean? So It's just
It's working out what you're comfortable with when you can produce your best work, but then it's trying to be flexible as well. But generally, if you do have a job where you are working a set shift, and a lot of people do have 9-to-5 jobs, they can really only write in the evenings, you know. So they'll get in the habit of doing that. I certainly did, and then one of the situations where I was working different shift patterns, and working an afternoon shift was the absolute fix, 3 o'clock till midnight. So that meant I had to write in the morning. That was the only time I could write. And it was hard, but I managed to do it. But it certainly wasn't as good as what I could have done if I'd been writing in my comfort zone.
Yeah.
So real life gets in the way. It always does. And gone are the days where, you know, say you get a book deal, even if you get accepted by a mainstream publisher, a lot of writers will still have to hold down a day job, you know.
Yeah.
So, we don't do it for the money, do we?
Oh, I'm totally in it for the money. Like, I want there to be money at the end of this. I don't care about a word total for me. It's more like, okay, let's tell the story.
I read somewhere, or someone said to me, with all writing advice, listen to as much writing advice as you can, and then ignore 95% of it, which I think is fantastic advice. The trouble is, you don't know, I still don't know to this day what that 5% of advice to keep hold of is. Shit, you're going to do an outtake section, aren't you?